guys, Kim here. Welcome to Backyard Blooms. Can you guess what I'm going to do today? I have some exciting seeds that we are going to sow into these seed trays. Now I have several different types of seed trays here that we are going to grow seeds in. Of course, this one is from Burpee. This one is from Fairy Morse. And then I have another one from Gardens. I bought this one on Amazon. And I got this one at Lowe's, and I bought this one at Home Depot. So why am I sowing seeds here in the wintertime? For one, it might be pretty outside, but I am not going to get anything to germinate if I plant seeds outside right now, because my last frost date for my zone, which is Charlotte, North Carolina, zone 8, is April 8th. And how do I know that? Because I went to and Googled it. So you can just Google, you can put your zip code in, but I actually went on the almanac one, and I was able to put in my zip code and then just search, and it gave me my last frost date. Now that is just a general idea. It could be 2 weeks before that, and it could be 2 weeks after that, but that just kind of gives you an idea. So when you start seeds, you don't want to start too early, because then you're going to have all your seedlings growing and then you're not going to be able to put them outside. And then you don't want to have to do extra work for yourself. If you put them out too early and then here comes a frost and they're too not hardy enough or too, I'm not going to say weak, but anyways, they won't take a hard frost. Or you just did all your work for the last 10 to 12 weeks for nothing, and we definitely don't want to do that, do we? So for one, I think this seed starting is going to be fun. It is going to be economical, because most of the time these seed packets only cost anywhere from $2 to $5 depending on where you go. I bought seeds at $2 at one of the nurseries, and then of course on Johnny Seeds are just a little bit more pricier, and I'm paying $5 to $6. Another source that I've been getting seeds is Select Seeds. So I bought them from Johnny's and Select Seeds, and then I also have bought seeds from Florette Farms as well. And I have a great resource that, since this is my first time, I've been doing my homework, and Florette was one of the first ones that I looked at on YouTube as well. And at the end of this video, I will post her video as well, so you can watch hers as well. So pretty much going to tell you the exact same thing. There's not much of a variation and how you do it. So just as long as you have seeds and the right soil and something to sow them in, and sometimes you have to have a heating mat. I did buy on Amazon a shelf that has 6 shelves, and it had the grow lights that included with it. It was all one kit. Now I really wanted to buy the $800 to $900 kit on Gardener Supply, because it was more appealing. It was attractive to be able to put into your house. But however, this is new to me, and I don't want to spend $800 to $900 right off the bat for something that I'm not sure I'm going to love or want to do again. I mean, I feel like that I'm going to want to love and do this again, because this has been very exciting for me, picking out seeds and looking at other people, what they're sowing right now and what they're going to sow. I would love to put this gorgeous bouquet together and try to sell some different bouquets like onto my local Facebook page or something like that. So I am playing around this year. So if you want to come and play around with me, you are so welcome to, because like I said, this is my first time doing it, but I've done my research and I hope I tell you everything right. But if I don't, make sure you watch Florette's video at the end of my video as well. If you're not familiar with her, she is great, and she has developed her own seeds and sells her own seeds. And I think if I have this video coming out before then, her seed sale starts February 6th. So anyways, so what do we need to start sowing seeds? Of course, we need seeds. And you need to plan ahead, because these took me probably about a week to get into the mail if I ordered off Johnny's or whatever. Now, if you just want to go to your local Home Depot or Lowe's or any type of gardening store, they even a lot of the nurseries have seeds. Then you could just pick them right off the shelf and come right home with it. So you need seeds, and then you need something to sow your seeds in. And of course, Florette recommends that you do some kind of type of tray like this because, I'll show you. I do need to open these, by the way. So you need a dome. This is gonna make you like a little type of greenhouse. You need something like this to be able to germinate plants or germinate the seeds. And then you need something to sow the seeds in. And this is where we're gonna put all of our soil in. And you put one little seed in each one. And if you don't want to, I guess you can do two, but then you might have to separate them later or snip one of them off. And then you need a tray to be able to put them in. So this tray is really good. For one, when you put this in here, it's not gonna make a mess. And then they recommend that you water below. So you'll just kind of pick up your tray like this and put a third or an inch of water in there. And then when your tray comes down, then it will soak up all the water. And then you have your dome. So this is what you're gonna look like right here. So she highly suggests that you invest in something like this. Now you can use egg cartons, like throwaway egg cartons, and you can like the ones that aren't really plastic, but the ones that are they're biodegradable, whatever that's called, like cardboard or whatever. You can like cut those apart and you can plant those right directly into the ground without disturbing any of the roots. But this is what I'm gonna go with. And then this is a 72 cell tray from Fairy Morse. And like I said again, there's your seed tray. This is your dome, and this is your tray right here. So, tray, where you're gonna put your seeds in, and then where you have your dome right there. So she says that this is very necessary to create your little greenhouse, and this is what's gonna help germinate. So in order to seeds to germinate, you need heat. So we need at least, they recommend 70 to 75 degrees of temperature for your seeds to germinate. And once your seeds germinate and you start seeing them pop up, then you're gonna take this off and then you're gonna give it sun. So I guess from what I'm gathering, you don't need sun in order for them to germinate unless it tells you on the packet that it does. But you need heat to be able to germinate, and then with this on top will help germinate that. And then once you start seeing your seedlings pop up, you're gonna take this off and then you're gonna put the seedlings in sun. And then the sun's what's gonna help these seedlings grow. So we need something like this to be able to grow our seeds in. The next thing that you need, move things around here, is your seed starter right here. So I'm going to use the Espoma organic seed starter, and it says seed starter right there. And it is a potting mix, but it is specifically made for seeds. So this one is just a little bit lighter. It doesn't hold on to water as much, and it is just super, super light, as you can see. And then I have a bucket because I do not have a hose setup outside somewhere to where I can do that. So this is gonna not create such a mess. So I'm gonna put this soil into this bucket, and then underneath the sink, I'm gonna water it and get it all watered in. So we have our soil. So we have our seeds, we have something to grow it in, we have our soil, and then they recommend vermiculite right here to be able to put on top. So this, sometimes, I guess with seeds, you can either cover it with soil lightly, but Florette suggests that you use this vermiculite. So I bought me some, and it's really light too, really, really light. Okay, so the next thing that you need is something to mark your seedlings with. So I have these little markers right here, and I have a really nice pen. This is a permanent garden pen. So whenever you put your seeds in here, I might not want to use a whole entire tray. I might just want to use like maybe three rolls of each seeds, and then I would like maybe put one here, and then if I ever started another row of something else, then I'd put another one. So That's why you want to have markers, so you want to make sure you know what you have. I bought these on Amazon too, and these were called King Lake, and there were 100 plant tags in there. And I'll link all these links that I bought on Amazon onto more. If you go to my title and then my description, you hit more, and all those links will be down there on what I did. Like, I bought pretty much all the setup with the 6 different shells for right around $350, $360. If you don't have a new setup, I thought I'd rather spend $360, and then it gave me everything that I needed versus $800 something, plus I need to buy seed trays and soil and all that other stuff too. Okay. So you can tell I'm doing this right into my kitchen. And then I use this mat right here to help me not make such a mess. This is called Azure Blue Repotting Mat, and I'll have that link on my description as well. And what I'm gonna do is put this container right in here after I fill it up with soil, so I'm not making a big mess all onto my counter. Before I put all the soil in here and mixed it up, that was not good. Florette recommended that if you don't have a wheelbarrow or don't have a potting shed or something like that, to use a bucket or wheelbarrow. I'm not gonna bring a wheelbarrow in here, but I have a small bucket, so I'm gonna use the bucket to mix the water up and make it really moist. And then I'll put this right here so I'm not making a big mess. All right, so I think that is all that we need. And I did buy like a little sprayer too, just to spray. Like, I may not need this in here because I can use my faucet in my kitchen, but like whenever I'm near my seed starting setup, which is in my like little flex room, then I'm gonna need something to water it, or where I could like put water into my trays. If I just want to sprinkle something on top, I can just sprinkle this on top. That was really not necessary. I just bought it because I wanted it, by the way. Okay, so like I said, this should be fun. It's inexpensive. Plants are so expensive nowadays, you guys. Like, you can there's 50 seeds in here. So this is snapdragons. If I went to the store and I bought a whole flat, which is usually 8 to 10, I'm gonna pay $6. I'm not even gonna pay $6. It's more than that. We're gonna be realistic here, because if I go to a nursery, a really nice nursery, I'm paying $8 to $9 to $10 for one plant. So this is 50 seeds in here. So if I times 50 times, say, $8, can you imagine how much that's gonna save me? It's gonna save me a lot of money. So anyways, and like I said, like what else are you gonna do? It is the first part of February. What are you gonna do in the first part of February that's gonna be this much fun? All right, so I am gonna show you my shelving first with my grow lights, and if you're interested in that, because I've never even talked about that before. I just got that probably not even 2 weeks ago. And then we're gonna come back here. We're going to put some water in our seed starter mix. Then we're gonna put that into our cells. And then I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna sow these seeds. Okay, so I'm going into my kitchen into my little flex room. Now I'm calling this a flex room because it could be anything. It could have been an office. We did have our table and chairs in here to make it as like a little dining area, but I didn't use it that much. And then now I have it as a little workout room. So you can see there's my Peloton bike that I use. I'm trying to use it. I'm trying to get back on board every single day with that. And then here is the seed starting shelves that I bought right here. So it has 6 shelves. I bought a heating mat up there. I'm not sure if I need that. From what I'm learning, I may not need that since the temperature in here is warm. Now, if I was outside in the garage, then I might need something like that. Now, the shelving is very decorative, and I bought some S-hooks so I can adjust my lights if I'd like to make it so much easier, because I cannot get my little fingers into these little things. I don't know about you guys, but I just cannot do it. I think my wrists have just been absolutely worn down from doing ultrasound. So this is the company that I bought it from. It's called B-Strip. You see that right there? And this is the installation. Of course, my husband did that for me, and it wasn't so bad to install. It came in a pretty good sized box. It's sturdy. You can put a lot of weight onto this, and it comes with like a little cover, so it doesn't make everything such a big mess. I did buy a timer because you want to keep your lights on anywhere from 12 to 16 hours. So I bought a timer called, is it BN Link? And let me show you my timer down here. I have it off right now. This is the timer. And I've already programmed it where it'll come on for 6 a.m. and go off at 10, and that'll give me, let's see, turn it on. That will give me 16 hours. So anywhere from 12 to 16 hours. Now the timer wasn't very expensive, and I encourage you to buy the timer because, you know, if you just forget 1 or 2 days, then you might ruin your whole entire system. But this is the lights right there, and you can assemble it any way you want. Well, like I said, I'm playing around with everything this year. I don't know if, and then of course it depends on everybody else's lights too, right? So I put 2 up here, 2 here, and then 2 on this shelf, and then I just did 1 and 1 down there. Now I do know and have read that you want to keep your lighting anywhere to 1 to 2 inches right above the seedlings, and then you raise it as they continue to grow. And these are LED lights, so they're not going to scorch the plant either. They're not even hot at all. So like I said, it's attractive. I'm pretty excited. I had room in here. And like I said, this setup right here, don't quote me, I'm gonna say around $260 for the 6 shelves and the lights. And they do have one that is 4 shelves. And you can also assemble this to be not so tall. You can do it side by side, so you can break it in half. And I guess if I wanted to, could have put it more closer to this window right here. Look, you guys, I know I'm looking at the screen, but do you see all my little tulips out there? You can see me in here too. Oh, my pansies and my tulips all out there. All right, so now that I've talked about my setup, and then I'll have the link to the seedling mat too. As I learn, I'm sure that there's gonna be things that are gonna take the mat, and if I feel like they're not germinating quick enough, then I can use the mat, but I'm gonna try it without the mat at first. All right, so let's make our way back into the kitchen. Sasha girl's over there resting. Don't mind my mess, but I do want to show you this gorgeous amaryllis. Look how beautiful she is. It's just soft white. I love this color too. So another thing that might be really helpful as well is to get a calendar. So I opened my calendar up to April 8th. April 8th right here is my last frost date. And then, of course, there's my birthday too, April 25th. But anyways, those cute little birds. Then I'm gonna go back at least 6 to 8 weeks, and I'm gonna circle from my last frost date. So like right here, this is gonna be 6 weeks right here on February 26th, and then February 12th. Right now, it's February 3rd, and it'll probably be another 5 or 6 days before I get this out, so it might be looking more like Thursday or so before I get this video out. But anyways, this is the day that I'm starting my seeds. Now I will write down all the names right here of the seeds that I did start, if that makes sense. And then on week 8 or 12, then I'll know, like, I'll go ahead and write down the seeds that I want to sow then. And then if you want a succession planting too as well, like if I'm starting, like, say sunflowers on this day and I want to plant every 2 or 3 weeks, then I might want to come down here and say, okay, then I'm going to plant this sunflower, you know, or sow the sunflower on this day, and so on and so on. So if that makes sense. So getting a calendar and writing everything down might help you, or if you have something on your computer as well. So I think there's lots. I think Johnny Seeds had something really good for that, if you need something like that too. But just a good tip, and I think it works out great just having a calendar. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is open this bag. This is the Spoma Organic Seed Starter. It doesn't have to be organic, and it doesn't have to be Spoma. Just any kind of seed starter. And that's what it looks like, real nice and fluffy. And then I'm going to pour the whole thing, because I know I'm going to use all of this, into my bucket. I'm going to go ahead and just throw that away. So this is what it looks like, real nice and fluffy. And I'm just going to use the sink, and I'm going to roll up my sleeves right here. Look, I just already managed to make a mess. Already, y'all. Look, already. I just must have just dumped it right out. All right, now you want this wet, but you do not want it soaking wet either. So I guess it's kind of like making pancakes. Like, you don't want your mix to be too runny, and you don't want it to be not enough either. Now, I've seen people do this in different ways, so you don't have to just do it in one way. So you can put the soil in your seed things dry, and then you can wet it down after that. But for me, I just don't feel like I would be able to control the moisture in these little things than I can, like, right here in this bucket. So this is what I'm gonna do. I like this method. And I don't know if you guys watch Laura with Garden Answer, that she always pre-moistens it too. I think it takes quite a bit of water. Trying to just do a little bit at a time. That way, I guess if I got too much, I still have another bag or two that I could open up. I have no idea how many seed cells this will fill. So I do have 2 more bags out in the garage that I could use. So let me tell you what kind of seeds that I'm going to plant today. So I'm going to plant hybrid delphinium, and these are called Guardian Lavender. And I'll find pictures, and I'm gonna throw all the pictures up as well. Now, all of these that I'm gonna be doing today are anywhere from 10 to 16 weeks, because like I said, if I plant anything right now that's only 8 to 10 weeks or 6 weeks, I'm gonna be planting it too early, and then I'm gonna not know what to do with my seedlings, because they're gonna be too big and out of control. Now, if your seedlings get too lumpy, like they're real thin, you can put a fan on them, and that will help strengthen the stems. So I do have an indoor fan. And then I think if they are even still spindly, it means that you might not have enough grow lights, and that you either need to bring your grow lights down or add more grow lights to your shelf. Now you want this to be able to hold a form, but you don't want to be able to like gently squeeze out. See how it's squeezing out? So just a little bit there if I squeeze real hard, but it's not just dripping whenever I hold it like this. So I think I have a good consistency right now. I like these 3-gallon buckets. I bought a 3-gallon bucket from Ace Hardware for my little bucket seat that, I don't know if you guys saw my video where I showed you the bucket seat that one of the guys let me advertise for him. I'll throw my little bucket seat up there for you so you can see it. All right, so I got it all the way mixed up evenly. I don't have any dry in here whatsoever. Let me show you without dumping it out. See how it's just nice and moist. All right, so now I'm going to bring this kind of close to me. Bring this over here so I'm not making a big mess. But this at least helps me not get everything so dirty, and then I can take this outside and then just wash this off instead of making a mess all over my counter. Now what you want to do is just put your soil right onto the seed tray and just kind of work your hand around it. Just working all the soil into these cells. And you want them full, like you want to pack it in there. You don't want any air space in there whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is fill several seed trays before I even, because I've got my hands all messed up right now, before I even start adding seeds. Another channel that I watched this morning, it was just actually a blog. It was P. Allen Smith, and he had a little thing on seed starting too. That I just kind of read just to kind of like make sure that I'm talking about everything that I need to talk about, you know. So I'm actually pushing down on these inside the hose here too. And you want it to look something very similar to this right there. If you have a lot of seeds to sow, I guess this would be a big, long process throughout your day. Another thing that's exciting about this too is that you may find something in a seed catalog that you cannot find to buy either. So that's exciting. You can sow perennials as well. So I've got a coneflower mix that I'm going to do, and I have an acastache, and I'm going to plant as well. Foxgloves are a perennial. So actually the foxgloves that I'm going to plant this year, they will not bloom this year because they're a biennial, so they're gonna bloom next year. But if I keep doing this process year after year, I will always have those type of blooms. And sometimes they'll self-sow themselves too. So you see I'm just going ahead and pushing these all the way down. So it looks like one bag did this 50 and then this 72 for me by the time I get it all in here. So I think this is a better method than putting it in here dry and then expecting like it to get wet all the way down. That's the same as just planting out into the ground. I never plant anything completely dry into the ground. I'll always make sure I soak, either water my root base before. Actually, like really, especially my perennials, I like to soak them in a bucket and soak from the water from below and make sure I get it nice and hydrated before I even put it into the ground, because I don't want to give it a bad start right off the bat. Look, see, like I poked that down and it didn't even have hardly any soil in that. You want to make sure you read your seed packet really, really well before planting anything, because you may not know what depth it is. And Florette gave me a good thing to go by too. You know, when you're planting a bulb, you plant however deep the bulb is, like twice as deep. The same with the seed. So if the seed is teeny tiny, then you're not going to want to, you know, put it way down into your cell. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Never underestimate a good brush. I guess I could wear gloves, but I like playing in this kind of dirt. So see, I pretty much used all that. I did a 72 and a 50 cell. So the next thing before I do anything else, before I even open this packet, I'm going to label on here. So I'm gonna call it, I'm not gonna put Johnny's, but I'm gonna put the Guardian, G-U-A-R-D, lavender. And then I'm gonna do Delphinium, D-E-L-P-H-I-N-I-U-M. And then on the back, I'm gonna put the date, which is 2/3/24, right there. So then that way I won't like forget. I'm already making a mess of that too. All right, so I like to still keep this seed packet for reference, for like, I'm gonna keep these all the way up until next year, because if I love this flower, then I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, like I bought this at Johnny's and I had however many seeds. There's 250 seeds in here, y'all. Oh, holy moly. And each seed gets 36 to 48 inches tall. Wow. And the germination rate on here is 94%. So, wow, they must be tiny to have 250 seeds. So honestly, like if you have more land, then you can probably go ahead and like put a whole row of these if you would like. But even like if you did a whole seed tray of that 72, that's a lot of these type of plants. And I don't have that much room. And like I said, I'm playing around this year. So I only live on 1/4 of an acre. Believe it or not, everybody seems to think that my garden is much bigger, but it's not. So I'm going to maybe only do maybe just 2 strips for right now to see how I do with these seeds. And they're not like terrible. Does that look like 250 seeds? Oh, you can't really see it. Wow. There you go. I'm gonna do one in each cell. So before we sow, we wanna make sure we read the back of the tag because there's lots of good instructions. So for this delphinium, let me tell you about it. It says, well, for one, it says that all parts of this flowering plant are poisonous, including the seeds. Wow, so that's the very first thing. So I guess I better wash my hands really good before I which I would anyways, but anyways, that's why it's really good. And you want to keep this away from your children and pets. But the life cycle is, it is a perennial in zones 3 through 7. It's short-lived, generally lasting only 3 seasons. And then it has a robust spike of 2 to 3 inches, open face blooms in dark and light blue, cherry, lavender, lilac, and white with light and dark bees. Wow. It's excellent as a cut flower, perennial beds, and borders. And then it says, sow 13 to 16 weeks before last frost, transplant 2 packs or 3 to 4 inches pots 6 to 8 weeks after germination. Harden off and transplant out after late frost. So yeah, that's pretty much, and I'm trying to find out where it tells you to, how deep. Which it doesn't say, but I just told you that we are going to plant, it's not going to be very deep because they're not very big. All right, so I'm going to use this to poke my hose with. Now you don't want to poke it all the way down. And I'm not going to cover it back up with soil. I'm going to cover it up with vermiculite. I'm going to go ahead and make all my hose for whatever else I plant. And I guess you have to be pretty patient with this because this is pretty tedious. What do you guys do? Do you put more than, I mean, I guess if it's one big seed, then I wouldn't do that. And then I'm gonna put this tag right here to let me know that all 3 of these are it. And then I'll start here with the new tag. Another thing that I just realized too is that you can open this and it seals back instead of me cutting the seed packet. So yeah, if you didn't notice. So this is a snapdragon, and this one's called Chantilly Light Salmon, and it's snapdragon. And it doesn't, I know there is like different types of snapdragons, one an earlier and this, but this is just still an annual. It doesn't tell me if it's like Potomac or whatever, but I bought this specifically for cut flowers. So I'm not really super happy with the ones that I buy in the grocery store or a nursery or whatever, just to put in your containers. So these are supposed to be something different, or I'm hoping they're gonna be way different. So this one's another one. You're gonna surface sow this one. So you want to lightly put it on top and then cover it with vermiculite. So I may not want as much holes for this one. And then it says light is required for germination. So that means I'm not gonna cover up with the soil. So I think I'm gonna cover my whole hole back up for that one. And then it said put a fine layer of vermiculite covering the seed will help maintain moisture levels and prevent algae growth. Bottom water or light mist lightly to avoid displacing seeds and soil. Transplant into a 72 cell plug flats. When true leaves appear, approximately 3 to 4 weeks after sowing, harden off and transplant out after danger of frost has passed. For a bushier plant with more flowering side branches, pinch plants back by half. So since, you know, I don't really want to have that in the middle of my row, I really don't want to have this in the very middle of my row because I'm going to be transplanting them out sooner. So I'm going to take this out and I'm going to put my snapdragons into this one right here. So the directions for this one tells me that I'm going to be planting this out 3 to 4 weeks before my last frost. So I don't want to have that right in the middle of my cells. So I'm going to plant this whole 50 cell right up here up with all these seeds. Now there is 50 seeds in here, and this is a 50 seed tray. So I'm going to try to fill this whole container up with these snapdragons. And I'm not going to poke holes because it said that it needs light, and I'm going to lightly cover it with vermiculite. And these are so tiny. Like, how do you sow these? Look, like, I don't know. And I don't feel like there's 50 in here either. Let's see. I've even seen, because they are so tiny, that people just sprinkle them on top, and then if there's 1 or 2 in a seed tray, then they could pop one out into the other one. I'm pretty much going to stop right here. Right here. I'll do that with something else. And it says to lightly cover with the vermiculite on these 3 rows. So that is that, and then I guess I can come back and just lightly spray it. Like so. All right, so I'm going to keep this packet. I used all 50. I don't think I counted 50. I don't even know how they knew 50 was in there. So the next one is this foxglove, and it is a surface sow as well. So that's going to be a really good one to put into this one. So I'm going to plant my tag, and these seeds must be tiny as well because I can't even hardly feel any seeds in there. And then we're going to plant maybe 3 rows of this up too. All right, so I have my tag in there. Let's see what these look like. They're so tiny too. So this one's from Select Seeds, and this is called Dalmatian Peach. It's a F1. And this one's also a short-lived perennial, zones 4 to 8. Full sun to partial shade. Like I said, that's why I like to keep this, but isn't that a gorgeous flower? There must be about 50 seeds in this one too. All right, I'm just going to sprinkle. I'm probably getting way more in each one. And I'm just going to sprinkle these all over here. All right, like I said, these were tiny, and I just kind of sprinkled them around, and I lightly put vermiculite on there. And now we're gonna go put this under the cover. We do need one of these on there. And they have like these little vents. We need to make sure we close those. I think that would snap on. And I guess it doesn't, it just lays on top. All right, so we're gonna get this under the grow lights, and I'm gonna show you in just a second what they look like under the grow lights. All right, so you already have a good idea what the process is like and how to sow. So I've got many more to do. If I sat there and sewed everything with you, I'd be here for hours. So anyways, the other seeds that I'm gonna sow today that are included in the 12 to 14 week period are the hybrid Lysianthus, and these are called Voyage to Champagne, and I'll throw pictures up. And then I have Coneflower Ruby Star Echinacea. And then I have another delphinium called Guardian White, and I'm gonna sow. And then I have Silver Dollar Eucalyptus that I'm gonna sow. And then I have another whole stack of seeds that I'm gonna sow in the 6 to 8 week range. Now I've seen that I have tried to separate these multiple times and I just keep getting them mixed up. But I have a Pacific Apricot Beauty Calendula. I have a Bright Rose Straw Flower. I have Mahogany Splendor. This is going to be gorgeous as a filler. And then I have a basil. It just says basil. Aromato basil. But this is going to be a filler too. Selway White Celosia. Now celosia can be direct sowed as well, and it always comes up, but it still says that you can sow it 6 to 8 weeks before. And then I have Stocks Champagne Stock. And then I have another celosia that is this color right here. Asian Garden, that's what this one's called. And then I have a Red Spike Amaranth. I have another Apricot Beauty Status. And then I have some zinnias. Zinnia Binary Giant Lilac. And then the Salmon Rose, Giant Salmon Rose. Everybody says this is very popular. I think I grew this before. And then the Selway Terracotta Celosia. Everybody says that's a real pretty one too. And then Seeker Blue Status. And then Mrs. Burns Lemon Citrus Basil. That's going to be for a filler too. And I got many more seeds in my little box that I need to get out to. So got lots of seeds to sow, but I'm mainly working on the ones that take 12 to 14 weeks right now. So I hope this was beneficial. I hope it's fun for you guys. It's really going to be fun to see these grow. Another thing that I took notes on P. Allen Smith, he said seed starting is a true delight of gardening, and I love that. I think I'm going to use that as my title. Seed starting, true delight of gardening. And he says it's fun, it's easy, it's inexpensive, which is definitely more inexpensive buying these seeds and growing them than to go out and buy them at your garden. Plus, like, there's nothing more complimentary than growing something and then someone complimenting you and you can say, I grew that from seed. How exciting would that be? And then, of course, you know, in days that it's cold and dreary and you've got snow outside, this gives you some gardening to do. It gives you something to do, and then it gives us, it makes us feel like we're being useful and we're still gardening. And then it gets us ahead of everything, and then we get more blooms faster when we can go ahead and plant stuff out. Now, I had good luck planting sunflowers and zinnias and some cosmos outside. And anyways, like, I might start seed here, and then I might, like, even afterwards, later down the road, when it is after April 8th, then I could go ahead and sow some outside as well. So I am so glad that you have come and learned with me, because like I said, this is a learning process. This is my first year. I do not have 10 years of experience doing this, but I've read my homework and I've done exactly what I was told to do. So anyways, I hope that in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I can share some little seedlings with you, and it'll bring me excitement and it'll bring you excitement too. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye, friends.